Your future doesn't live in your past, it lives in your decision. And the moment you decide to change everything, everything changes. Decision is the doorway to destiny. It sounds simple, but it is one of the most powerful truths you will ever encounter. Your entire life can shift in one moment of pure, committed decision. Not a wish, not a hope, a decision. The difference between people who transform their lives and those who stay stuck in cycles is not talent, background, or opportunity. It's decision. Decision is what separates intention from execution. It is the invisible line between a life of mediocrity and a life of mastery. And until you cross that line, you're only existing, not living. You don't get the destiny you want. You get the destiny you're willing to decide for. The reason so many people are frustrated is because they think desire is enough. But desire without decision is delusion. You can want a better life, you can wish for healing, you can pray for opportunity, but until you decide to let go of the old version of you, decide to change your habits, decide to step into discomfort, nothing changes. Decision demands clarity. You can't make a powerful decision when your mind is still negotiating with the past. You must reach a point where you say, I'm done with average, I'm done with settling, I'm done with survival. That is the moment the door opens. That's when heaven starts aligning resources, people, and opportunities. Not when you dabble, but when you decide. Every great transformation in life begins with a decision. Think about it. A person doesn't just become healthy. They decide they're no longer going to abuse their body. A business doesn't just scale. Someone decides they're going to stop playing small and master the principles. A marriage doesn't just heal. Two people decide to forgive, to fight for it, to rebuild. Decision is the first domino that knocks everything else over. And let's be clear, real decision is not made with words. It's made with action. You'll know you've truly decided when your behavior changes. Because when your decision is real, excuses die. You stop blaming your upbringing, your boss, your past, or your pain. You stop looking for the easy route, and you start embracing responsibility. That's the power of decision. It kills the victim and activates the victor inside you. People think they're stuck, but what they really are is indecisive. They're waiting for perfect conditions, for more confirmation, for less fear. But destiny doesn't wait for comfort. Destiny answers only to commitment. You don't need a better plan. You need a bolder decision. You don't need another opinion. You need a made-up mind, because indecision is the breeding ground for delay, doubt, and disobedience. And as long as you're wavering, your future will keep waiting. You must make decisions that reflect the life you want, not the life you have. That's where faith comes in. Faith doesn't wait for evidence. It creates it. Faith says, I don't know how this will work, but I know who I am. Faith allows you to burn bridges behind you, not as a reckless act, but as a radical act of trust. It's saying, I refuse to go back. I refuse to be who I was. I am walking through this door, and I'm not turning around. Here's the truth. Your next level is not on the other side of more time. It's on the other side of one decision, the decision to rise early, the decision to study, the decision to forgive, the decision to invest, the decision to leave what's toxic, the decision to speak up, the decision to finally stop asking for permission and start walking in purpose. And it doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be final. Final in your spirit. Final in your energy. Final in your execution. That kind of decision is rare, but it is magnetic. It pulls destiny toward you like a force field. Because when you move like you've already won, the world starts responding like you've already won. That's what happens when your decision is deep. It shifts your posture. It sharpens your focus. It silences your fear. The most powerful part is this: you don't have to wait. You don't need permission. You don't need a breakthrough to decide. Decision is the breakthrough. And the moment you decide, the old version of you starts to die, and the new you begins to live. Not tomorrow, not next year, now. So stop asking how long it will take. Start asking how long you're willing to wait to become who you were always meant to be. Because decision is not about time. It's about truth. And the truth is, your destiny is waiting. But it will only meet you at the place of decision. You must divorce your old identity if you want to step into a new destiny. You can't become the new you while still clinging to the patterns, beliefs, and behaviors of the old you. The biggest trap most people fall into is thinking they can upgrade their life without uprooting who they've been. But transformation is not an addition. It's a subtraction first. It begins by letting go of everything that no longer aligns with who you're becoming. The truth is, your old identity is familiar. It's comfortable. It knows how to keep you safe, how to avoid risk, how to survive. But it also knows how to keep you small. It knows how to talk you out of your dreams. It knows how to replay every failure, magnify every flaw, and whisper every insecurity. Your old identity is not just a mindset, it's a memory, and if you don't sever it, it will sabotage your future. You cannot bring an old operating system into a new level of purpose. If you try to, you'll find yourself constantly self-sabotaging. You'll attract opportunities but reject them. You'll be around greatness but feel like an imposter, not because you're not capable, but because you're still carrying a story about who you were. And every time you try to step forward, that story pulls you backward. That's why divorce is necessary, not from people, but from patterns, from mindsets that served you in survival but now strangle you in success, from habits that felt normal but were never healthy, from stories you didn't even choose but still play on repeat. Some people are loyal to their limitations because their identity is wrapped in their pain. They've worn struggle like a badge of honor. They've built their personality around their past, and until they divorce that identity, they can't marry the future waiting for them. Divorcing your old identity means you stop answering to names that no longer belong to you. Names like unworthy, failure, insecure, lazy, or not enough. It means you stop rehearsing the same excuses. It means you stop showing up as the broken version of you just because people expect it. You don't owe anyone your old self. You don't have to keep playing small just because they feel uncomfortable when you grow. The moment you decide to evolve, you're going to trigger people who are committed to your history. But that's not your problem. Your future is too important to shrink for the comfort of others. Divorce is painful. It requires separation. It requires a decision that enough is enough. It requires honesty, looking yourself in the mirror and admitting that who you've been is not who you're called to be, and it's not that the old you was bad. That version got you this far, but now that version is expired, and if you keep trying to operate with expired programming, you'll malfunction every time opportunity shows up. When you begin to let go of your old identity, you'll experience grief. That's normal. You'll miss the ease of being predictable. You'll miss the comfort of your own excuses, but grief is a part of growth. The seed has to die before the tree can live, so don't fight the shedding. Embrace it. It means you're on your way to something greater. Divorcing your old identity also means confronting your beliefs. Every belief creates behavior. If you believe you're unworthy, you'll sabotage love. If you believe you're not smart, you'll procrastinate purpose. If you believe you're cursed, you'll reject blessings. So you must begin to replace every limiting belief with a liberating truth. You must rewire your mind to accept success, to welcome abundance, to expect favor. You cannot walk into greatness thinking like a failure. Your identity must be upgraded before your reality ever changes. You must also start practicing your new identity even before it feels real. Walk like the version of you who is already free. Speak like the version of you who is already whole. Decide like the version of you who already knows their worth, because repetition creates reality, and the more you align your actions with the new you, the faster the old you begins to fade. This is not about faking it. This is about faithing it. Faith in who God called you to be. Faith in the purpose you carry. Faith that you were not created to repeat cycles. You were created to break them. The old you was a lesson. The new you is the leader. But you can't lead until you leave. You must declare that your past no longer has permission to define you. Your wounds no longer get to write your script. Your failures no longer sit in the driver's seat. The moment you make that declaration, your entire life begins to shift, because heaven doesn't respond to comfort. It responds to commitment. And when you truly divorce the old you, you open the door for the life that's been waiting for the real you to show up. Discipline is the bridge between now and next. It's the unseen force that carries you from who you are to who you're called to become. Most people want change. They crave breakthrough. They dream of transformation, but they keep standing on the edge of now, staring across the water at next, unwilling to walk the one bridge that actually gets them there. Discipline. It's not the glamorous path. It's not the loud one, but it's the only one that works. Talent might open the door, but only discipline keeps you in the room. Passion might start the engine, but only discipline keeps the car moving when motivation dies. And it will die. There will be days when your emotions don't show up. There will be mornings when purpose doesn't feel exciting. That's where discipline takes over. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It only cares what you do. And what you do consistently builds the world you live in. Everyone wants to reach the next level, but few are willing to pay the price. Discipline is the price. Discipline says, I will show up whether I feel like it or not. Discipline says, I'm not waiting for a perfect mood to pursue a perfect outcome. It is the muscle of maturity. It is the mark of real transformation. It is what separates the people who talk about change from the people who live it. The challenge is that most people are addicted to comfort. They want results without resistance, but there's no growth in comfort, and there's no comfort in growth. Discipline disrupts your comfort to develop your character. It stretches you. It demands sacrifice. It calls you to a higher standard, and that's exactly why it's so rare. It's easier to stay the same. It's easier to sleep in, to procrastinate, to give yourself a pass. But easy never produces excellence. Discipline is not punishment. It's preparation. Every act of discipline is an investment in your future. Every time you say no to distraction and yes to focus, you're reinforcing your destiny. Every time you turn off the noise and tune into your assignment, you're reinforcing your identity. You're building a foundation strong enough to carry what's coming, because let's be clear, your next level is heavy. And if you don't have the discipline to carry it, it will crush you instead of crown you. You can't wish your way to success. You have to work your way there, not once, not sometimes, but daily. Discipline is daily decisions in alignment with destiny. It's the choice to write even when inspiration is silent. It's the decision to train when nobody's watching. It's the commitment to eat clean, think sharp, speak life, and build excellence, not for applause, but for alignment. You don't rise to the level of your potential. You fall to the level of your discipline. The truth is, your future is waiting on the other side of your habits. You don't become what you want. You become what you consistently do. And most people are stuck not because they lack potential, but because they lack a pattern of discipline. They keep planting seeds and walking away. They start something new every time it gets uncomfortable. They confuse inspiration with transformation. But real transformation takes repetition. Real results take consistency. Discipline says, I'll do it again and again until excellence becomes automatic. Discipline is how you outlast delay. It's how you keep going when the results are invisible. It's how you build trust with yourself. Every time you keep a commitment, you strengthen your confidence. You're telling your mind, I can be trusted. And when you trust yourself, your vision becomes more than a dream. It becomes a destiny. You stop needing outside validation because your consistency becomes your confirmation. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being persistent. You will mess up. You will miss days. But the disciplined person doesn't live in guilt. They reset and return because they know that one failure doesn't break the bridge. What breaks the bridge is quitting, and quitting is never an option when your purpose is on the line. It's easy to envy someone else's results. But the question is, can you match their routine? Can you show up when it's hard? Can you push through when you're tired? Can you stay focused when nobody's watching? That's where the battle is won, not on the stage, but in the secret. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. That's where discipline is forged. You don't need more motivation. You need more mastery, and mastery is born through repetition, through doing the same thing with excellence over and over again until it becomes your nature. Until waking up early isn't a fight, it's who you are. Until finishing what you start isn't a goal, it's your standard. That's the power of discipline. If you want to move from now to next, discipline is your vehicle. Emotion is not the driver. Discipline is. It takes the wheel when your feelings fail. It carries you across the chaos. It builds the momentum that creates miracles. And if you stay with it long enough, you'll wake up one day and realize you didn't just cross the bridge. You became the kind of person who builds them. Environment must elevate or be eliminated. There is no middle ground. Where you live, who you surround yourself with, what you listen to, what you see every day. It's either pulling you up or dragging you down. The environment is not neutral. It is shaping you every second, even when you're not conscious of it. And that's what makes it dangerous, because most people don't even realize that their surroundings are programming their standards, molding their mindset, and either fueling their future or feeding their failure. You can't become something great while living in something toxic. A dream cannot survive in a place built to sustain survival. You're trying to elevate your life while surrounded by people who are comfortable in average. You're trying to build something extraordinary in a place that celebrates ordinary. And you wonder why you feel resistance. It's not always because you're doing something wrong. It's often because your environment doesn't match your next level. Your environment speaks to you even in silence. If your room is cluttered, your mind is distracted. If your conversations are negative, your spirit is drained. If your circle is full of fear, doubt, and limitation, you will begin to think small, even if you were born for something big. Atmosphere matters. God created the garden before he put Adam in it, because environment must be aligned with assignment. You can't grow in a place that's not fertile for your future. You can't be fruitful in a field full of weeds and excuses. And let's be real, some of the environments that need to be eliminated are not physical places but emotional spaces. You're living in mental neighborhoods built on past pain. You're replaying conversations that poisoned you. You're rehearsing rejection like a song stuck on loop. And every time you try to step into faith, that old environment pulls you back into fear. You have to evict those patterns. You have to declare that your mind is no longer a safe place for trauma to live rent-free. You can't just renovate. You've got to relocate. Elevation requires evaluation. You must be willing to ask hard questions. Does this space help me grow? Does this relationship expand my thinking or shrink my vision? Does this conversation bring clarity or confusion? Does this atmosphere stir my faith or stir my fear? And if the answer doesn't point to elevation, it must be eliminated, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. Because your purpose is too valuable to let it be poisoned by proximity to the wrong environment. People are part of your environment too. Some of the most dangerous environments are not places, they are people. Some of the most limiting atmospheres are not buildings, they are belief systems passed down by those close to you. You have to stop confusing loyalty with limitation. Just because you've known someone for a long time doesn't mean they deserve a front row seat in your life. Some people are called to your history, not your destiny. And until you recognize that, you will keep dragging anchors into your assignment. Creating an environment of elevation doesn't happen by accident. It takes intention. You have to build it. You have to design your atmosphere like your future depends on it. Because it does. Start with your space. Clean it. Organize it. Decorate it with vision. Your space should reflect where you're going, not where you've been. Then guard your ears. What are you listening to? Is it sharpening you or softening you? Is it stretching you or sedating you? Then, most importantly, protect your circle. Your circle should sound like your calling. If you're always the most disciplined, the most driven, the most focused person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You need people who challenge your laziness, who confront your excuses, who refuse to let you settle. You need mentors, not just cheerleaders. You need truth, not just validation. The right environment won't coddle you. It will call you higher. That's why change is so hard for some people. Because in order to change, you have to leave the environment that kept you the same. You have to walk away from comfort zones. You have to detach from people who were assigned to your past but don't fit your future. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's lonely at times, but elevation is never crowded. Growth doesn't happen in the group chat. Greatness requires space to breathe. You can't keep asking for a break while living in a breakdown. You can't keep praying for a new level while refusing to leave your old atmosphere. You can't be serious about transformation if you're not serious about environment. It's not just about what you're doing. It's about where you're doing it and who you're doing it around. Elevation is a result of exposure. When you get around better, you start thinking better. When you hear truth consistently, lies lose their grip. When you sit in excellence, average starts to feel uncomfortable. If your environment is not challenging you, it's controlling you. And anything that controls you without contributing to you must be removed. Your environment is either building your discipline, feeding your faith, elevating your energy, or it's draining you dry, and you have to make a decision. Not tomorrow, not when it's convenient now, because your next level is waiting, but it cannot grow in the soil of stagnation. The environment must elevate or it must be eliminated. Vision pulls, not pushes. That's why some people never move. They're waiting to be pushed when they were meant to be pulled. Motivation pushes, pressure pushes, fear pushes, but all of those are external. They wear off. They fade. But vision, that comes from within. Vision doesn't push you from behind. It pulls you from the future. It gives you something so clear, so powerful, so magnetic that it draws you forward even when your legs are tired. Your mind is doubting, and your emotions are screaming to quit. When you have a true vision, you don't need someone to hype you up. You don't need constant reminders to keep going, because vision becomes your compass. Vision becomes your fuel. It's not about hype, it's about clarity. Vision is the picture of the person you're becoming, the life you're building, the legacy you're leaving. When that picture is sharp, it speaks to your spirit louder than any voice around you ever could. Most people are not lazy, they are not broken, they are not unworthy. They're simply living without vision, and when you don't have vision, all you're left with is pressure. Pressure to perform, pressure to impress, pressure to not fall behind, but pressure wears you out. Vision wakes you up. Pressure burns you out. Vision builds you up. And once you understand that, you stop chasing outside motivation and start developing inner vision. The difference between those who quit and those who keep going is not always strength. It's vision. People with vision keep moving, not because it's easy, but because they've already seen the end. Vision allows you to endure seasons that don't look like your destiny. It allows you to walk through pain without becoming it, because when you have vision, you realize that where you are now is not where you'll be forever. That's the problem with living based on your current reality. If you look around and define yourself by your situation, your background, your bank account, or your past, you'll stay stuck. Vision forces you to lift your eyes. Vision refuses to let you settle. Vision reminds you that there's more. It stretches your thinking. It expands your capacity. It introduces you to a version of yourself you haven't met yet. But you know deep down you were born to become. You don't need more pressure. You need more perspective. And perspective comes from vision. A vision that is rooted in purpose. A vision that is bigger than your current struggles, louder than your current critics, and stronger than your current fears. Vision doesn't always change your circumstances immediately, but it always changes your posture. It straightens your back. It sharpens your focus. It silences distractions, because when you're being pulled by vision, you don't have time to be paralyzed by opinions. Vision is magnetic. It pulls resources. It pulls people. It pulls opportunities. That's why clarity is power. When your vision is clear, the universe begins to respond. Things start lining up. Doors start opening. The right people start showing up. Not because you're lucky, but because you're aligned. Vision creates alignment, and alignment always attracts acceleration. But here's what most people don't realize. Vision doesn't come to the passive. It comes to the seeker. You have to be intentional about vision. You have to take time to disconnect from distractions and tap into your higher calling. You have to ask the hard questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What would I attempt if I knew I couldn't fail? What legacy do I want to leave? Vision is not about fantasy. It's about focus. You're not creating a dream world. You're identifying your assignment and giving it a face. Once vision gets a hold of you, everything changes. The things you used to tolerate, you begin to reject. The environments you once found entertaining become irritating. The conversations that used to feel normal start to feel small. Why? Because vision is elevating your awareness. It's introducing you to a future that no longer fits with the comfort zones of your past. And the more you lean into it, the more you feel the pull. Vision doesn't mean it gets easier. It just means it gets clearer. You still have to do the work. You still have to face the fears. You still have to take the risks, but you do it with a sense of purpose. You do it with your eyes on the outcome. You do it because you've already seen the harvest. So you keep showing up to plant the seeds, even when the soil feels dry. That's what vision does. It keeps you faithful in the field. If you're tired, if you're stuck, if you feel like you've lost your fire, don't beg for motivation. Go back to your vision, refocus, reconnect, rewrite it if you have to, because once you see it again, once it grabs your heart and refuses to let go, you won't need anyone to push you. You'll be pulled. And when vision pulls, nothing can stop you. Faith is the foundation of reinvention. Before you can rebuild your life, reshape your identity, or rewrite your future, you have to believe it's possible. Not just hope, not just wish. Faith. Faith is the internal knowing that something greater exists beyond what your eyes can currently see. It's the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Reinvention doesn't begin with a new job, a new relationship, or a new plan. It begins with a new belief, one that declares, I don't have to stay who I've been. Most people stay stuck not because they lack talent, opportunity, or intelligence, but because they lack faith. Not just in God, but in the possibility of change, faith in their ability to grow, faith that their past doesn't disqualify their future, faith that they can become someone they've never been. Reinvention demands that you break up with your past and believe for a future that looks nothing like your current circumstances. That takes more than a strategy. It takes faith. You can't step into a new life while dragging the weight of old doubt. Reinvention requires a leap into the unknown. It requires you to build while walking, to plant while plowing, to move before the outcome is guaranteed. And the only thing strong enough to support that kind of movement is faith. Faith is the foundation that allows you to build a new identity from the ground up. Without it, every step will feel uncertain, every obstacle will feel fatal, and every delay will feel like a denial. Faith gives you the power to see yourself differently. Before anything changes around you, everything has to change inside you. You can't walk in purpose with the mindset of a person stuck in pain. You can't lead with the language of limitation. Reinvention begins when you stop seeing yourself through the lens of your wounds and start seeing yourself through the lens of your worth. Faith helps you speak to your future when your past still echoes in your mind. It empowers you to declare, I am more than what happened to me. I am more than what I lost. I am more than who I used to be. That's what makes faith dangerous to the enemy of your soul, because the moment you start believing different, you start behaving different. Faith ignites action. It pushes you to take the first step, even when you can't see the whole staircase. It challenges your excuses. It dismantles your limitations. It forces you to confront the question, what would I do if I truly believed God was with me? And once you answer that with faith, reinvention becomes inevitable. Reinvention doesn't mean pretending. It means evolving, and evolution is messy. It's uncomfortable. It's uncertain. But faith doesn't require comfort. It requires commitment. When you walk by faith, you stop needing permission to change. You stop asking for validation. You stop waiting for the applause of people who are still attached to your old version. Faith says, even if no one claps, I'm moving forward. Even if no one understands, I'm growing. Even if it's just me and God, I'm still building. The beautiful part is that faith is not about being fearless. It's about moving anyway. It's not about never doubting. It's about doubting and doing it anyway. Faith gives you the boldness to take risks, to start over, to become who you were always meant to be. Every great reinvention story starts with someone who had every reason to quit, but chose to believe instead. They chose to believe that purpose was still possible, that their best days weren't behind them, that they weren't disqualified by what they didn't do, but positioned by what they were now willing to do. You can have the best plans, the most brilliant strategy, and the perfect timing, but if you don't have faith, it will all crumble under pressure. Faith is the root system of reinvention. It's what holds you steady when storms come. It's what keeps you anchored when people leave. It's what reminds you why you started when the process feels long. Faith is not a moment. It's a mindset. It's a posture. It's a lifestyle. And if you nurture it, it will give you the strength to transform. Everything you want to become lives on the other side of faith. The healed version of you, the whole version, the thriving, purpose-driven, disciplined, joyful version of you is waiting. But it cannot come forth through logic alone. It must be birthed through belief. And belief is not something you wait to feel. It's something you choose to walk in every day, every step, every breath. Reinvention starts with faith, because if you don't believe it, you'll never build it. And if you won't step forward in faith, you'll stay trapped in fear. So when the voices in your head tell you you're too late, too broken, too far gone, faith tells you you're just getting started. Reinvention doesn't need perfect timing. It needs a willing heart and a made-up mind. And once that faith is firm, the foundation is set. Everything else begins to rise.